Greetings, this is a Forgotten Prime, and today I am talking about one of my many hobbies that I've enjoyed over the years. And there's a lot of confusion going on around the internet and whatnot. A few of my friends on Discord have been itching their heads. They thinking that certain franchises are canon, but when I start looking through the franchise as a whole, I realized that nothing that's current is true timeline when a certain thing had happened. I am going to give a shout out to a YouTube group of guys. They are very meticulous on pulling together data, and I'm greatly appreciative for them. I hope they continue to doing what they do because they're one of the many reasons. Now, originally it was Geeks and Gamers Jeremy that started kind of. No, basically, he stated anybody that has a camera or whatnot and they have something to say it. I'm going to say it. And even if somebody dislikes it, oh well. At least I'm being honest. And that's where it's sad that being honest is bad. And that goes for TV shows. But I am going to give the shout out to Midnight's Edge. They created a decent and very good explanation at where the timelines are supposed to be. And yet nobody's understanding it. They're just like, okay, they're saying uh please don't think of it that way. They are using as much factual data as that they can find to prove their point. And I've done kind of something similar of my own making. I made my own timeline, and I am going to just show what information that I've acquired, state what I'm thinking about certain people and the timeline itself. First things first is let's go on to the oh, not just yet for that. Uh Star Trek in general has always been a sci-fi fantasy. Lately, their sci-fi timeline story. Lately, they've been going fantasy. That's why I kind of said fantasy a second ago. Sci-fi fantasy. That's the current stuff, and you, yeah, brain fart. J.J. Abrams is a decent guy. I like a lot of his films. Some of his stuff I don't like, but yet that's me. I'm not going to tell anybody to like or dislike some of his stuff. What I'm going to point out is that at least nothing negative on him, nothing negative for the company that he put out, Bad Robot. However, some of the decisions of bringing certain people on the job, yes. Alex Kurtzman is one of them. Because in my opinion, he's getting two pieces out of the biggest pie that could ever exist within a franchise. And nobody realizes it until I looked it up. I just realized it now. Alex Kurtzman, or shall I say Klutzman, as some YouTubers like to call him, had his hands in two of the films and all of the TV series franchise. That's where I'm going to get to the timeline issues. All of Kurtzman's disasters with Secret Hideout are cause of the timeline disasters. And people are saying, okay, what are you talking about? There was a comic book that came out that basically did the one to it. And yes, they pretty much stole the entire idea from that film. That there's not one you, there are many yous. And each different you has gone a different way. Or it could be a guy, could be a girl, could be an alien. But there's always, or possibly, very unlikely, could be a universe without you in it. And yet, that's how they're fixing their canon issues. Very few people bought that comic book. So they decided to try to cram it into the short treks. At least that's what I've been told. I don't have proof on it, so please don't jump down my throat if I'm wrong on this. The short treks, I haven't seen them. I've seen all of STD, and I'm going to continue calling it STD until it disappears. Star Trek, the current timeline, and the Star Trek Discovery are Star Fantasy. Star Trek, the other timelines, were basically sci-fi with a hint of realism. That's why a lot of true geeks of the number were involved in it, because they loved the fact that they actually used real science, or at least as they could come to it, real science to back the story up. This current timelines, they might as well throw science right out the window. But everybody's trying to figure out, why is there a problem with that? Well, here's the big problem. These two agencies are in a war for supremacy over the franchise. Big reason. They split. They used to be, at one time, one company. And then they split the franchise. I don't know how that's possible. It still makes me itch my head to think, how would a company take a name and split it in half and say, okay, it'd be like taking a child, saying, okay, let's cut them in half. You take that half, you can take half that half. Or basically, from the information that I've gathered, one company has a part of an ear and the other company has the rest of it. That's exactly what I'm seeing. And I'm itching my head at why. Why is there so much greed in this industry? But I digress. This is the timeline that where the two companies were unified. Cuts off right there. When they split, the companies wanted to try to make their own money from the franchise. Paramount's timeline, CBS's timeline. Paramount lost its steam. Discovery is losing its steam because it's behind a paywall. I'm not going to pay money for a show, so I'm lucky I have a good friend who likes the show. I watch it with him. I don't like it. I see a bit of Star Trek in there, but not enough. This is my hypothesis. Everybody can shoot me later. I don't care. This is my hypothesis. My hypothesis is that neither company can touch anything of this. They cannot make anything more off of that timeline. So what they are doing is they're making a two different dimensions off of all the stuff that makes this in them. But the only thing is, they can't really make it exactly like that. So they make it something different. They tried, and nobody bit because of the fact that it wasn't this anymore. That's where the glitch is. It's no longer this. Star Trek, Star Sci-Fi. This Star Trek is Trek Fantasy. Because they've given up on trying to make this, and they're making this instead. They're basically stated the same thing that Disney, Lucasfilm had said. Old fans, we can't work with you anymore. Go away. That's exactly what's going on right here. That's what I feel. So, I'm done. I haven't bought nothing from you, neither Paramount nor CBS, because the fact that you no longer give a rat's ass about the fans. You are catering to people who don't buy nothing, who don't care about the franchise. And that's where the biggest issue is. You're catering to greed. And that's not good. I feel like I would love it if Q were involved. And if the Paramount and CBS would just say, hi, let's shake hands. Let's make a deal. Let's work together and make Star Trek again. We'd share the money equally and make good Star Trek. But that's my dream. That ain't gonna happen. Because of the fact that the two companies have split. So does the so does the franchise. So does the meaning. They cannot make old Star Trek anymore. Because the fact that the franchise itself is fragmented. Either one of the two caves and sells off their part of the franchise. That's the only way it's going to get fixed. And that's the only way that I could see this getting worked out. Game companies have pretty much given up on trying to make any headway with this because the fact that they know for a fact that some of this shit don't sell. Star Trek Online is going to be doing another hand-me-down of STD. I won't play that month. Even if it has something else or weak or whatever, I don't care. I will not play during those periods of time because I don't endorse STD. I don't endorse it. I will not buy its ships. I will not play its demo. I won't do nothing in the Star Trek Online for that side because I do not endorse it. That's my choice. Don't. A lot of people online seem to say that we are telling you to do something when we are not. Don't follow us. Do what you think is right. But if you agree with us, cool. Very cool. Those of us who don't like it. I know there's a lot of people out there who don't like it. And I don't want to harp. I really don't. But when people are belittling you because of your hobby, I feel like I've gone backwards in time, and not in a good way. And I'm feeling like Hans Kurtzman. Yikes! I hate using the and. Bing, 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 bing. Sorry, Mecca. I'm turning into Kurtzman. Not good. But I'm not a writer, so I don't have to worry about that part. But what I have to worry about is that I like to spend my time not just watching the old stuff that I like. I wouldn't mind seeing something that's good and new. That's of the stuff that I like. I don't think I'm going to be getting that for a very long time. Things are changing at a fast pace, and I wish I'd noticed this years ago before the development of some of these films and or games, and I would have started saying something sooner. I never thought that I'd be an activist or to want to say something out loud against stuff that make no sense to me. And I'm a person who's all over the place. Hence my 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 motto. Super Otaku Jekka many traits. I don't add that last bit because I can't. I cannot master nothing. It's not possible. So I don't bother saying. And yet, all that stuff that's sitting in my head, it's rattling around in there. It's lost in there, but I might find it from time to time. I write it down sometimes, and I forget things. So I put it in a different folder and like forget about it. I just recently started digging out some of my old fan fictions back that I want to wrote back in my high school days. Man, I wrote shitty. But my point is, don't change things just because they need to be changed. And if the company wants to make money, yeah, go for it. But here's the biggest issue. If you're going to try to ballpark a franchise to people who have been inundated by all of these decades worth, they're going to be itching their heads trying to figure out where are you going with this. And with all of the drama and the issues throughout the development of these, that's not a good sign. I know there might have been some issues behind the scenes on these, but that's a given on any story or business in any given time. Uh, I used to be a manufacturer. I would go to work, put stuff together, come home stinking, do it all over again. I'd see the same people's faces day in, day out, year in and year out. And after a while, you'd get sick of looking at that person's face. Dude, your attitude's getting on my nerves. Shut the fuck up. Put your music back on. That happened a lot. And I would not be surprised that every once in a while, sometimes some people would snap and just need a space. And yet, that's human nature. Here, it's like, you stepped on my toe. You're an asshole. Uh, I'm tired of the finger pointing. I'm tired of the games. I'm tired of the nonsense. I want good stories, not something that wraps around an enigma within an enigma within an enigma, and then the plagiarism without throughout many of the franchises that are in the purple and red. I'm not going to go into detail because people already know about these things. It's all that's killing these industries. If you want these hobbies that you're trying to ballpark to people to sell, stop trying to make them divisive because you're not going to make money off them. You ain't going to make any from me. I have boycotted Disney because of the way they treated way they treat customers. I boycotted Marvel because of the way they treat customers. I will probably watch Endgame, but that's after a week. I'm not gonna go see it now. No. Uh-uh. Disney has basically proved to me that they're only out for the money. And that's going for a lot of different companies. CBS and Paramount are great examples of that. Another, I'm ashamed of the hobby industry in general. The amount of greed is insane. And the mentality behind it is following. Enough. If you want money, stop putting nonsense into stories. My favorite saying from one of the greatest artists in the world is, with great power comes great responsibility. And every last company has been doing exactly the opposite. They're shooting themselves in the foot. My timeline is thus: 3. The Gene Roddenberry timeline, the J.J. Abrams timeline, and the Kurtzman timeline. The J.J. is based off of this franchise. This is based off of this franchise. However, a lot of this's elements are taken from all kinds of different places, from films and plagiarism, and I'm not going to go into that. Because of the fact that I already know that I'm probably going to get a lot of hate messages on this video. By all means, post them. I'm not going to comment. I want to see a few positive comments. Hopefully. Don't force yourself. I'm not a bully. I am a guy, yes. I will not use my toxic masculinity, flex muscle, like Geeks and Games Jeremy. I'm not a jock. Never have been. I've been a bookworm. All my life, I was a comic book geek. I'm proud of it. Star Trek geek. Star Wars geek. Hence, my continued. Oh, shit. I forgot the word. Motto. Motto. Super Otaku, jack of many trades. That is me. Tough. And I'm all over the place. I am. I am all over the place. I am spontaneous. And I like it that way. I like who I am. Don't try to change me. Don't change stuff just because you need to change it. Because you want to make something that's divisive. Stop that. Still good stuff. That's my last bitch on that. Okay. Yet again, shout out to Midnight's Edge. I cannot say anything negative about them. There's a lot of good YouTubers out there that are talking sensical, and that people are looking at them like they're insane. That saddens me. And I have no doubt people are going to say the same thing about me. By all means. But it still saddens me. Oh. To those who don't like being called out for your stupidity, in the old generation, I will repeat this. Up yours. For those who love stories, artwork, character design, two thumbs up to you. And may everything go great for you in life, family, I mean everything. There are no limits. I have always considered myself to be very young emotionally, but I have become mature via the things that I've seen. And my maturity is by the things that I do. I pay my bills, and every once in a while I splurge on myself, but that's rare. I call those like me gifted because the fact that we keep on trucking no matter what pushes us down, even ourselves. Stand tall. Don't let bullies tell you who you are. CBS, Paramount, stop fighting and work together to make better Star Trek. But I don't think that's going to happen. And I have nothing else to say tonight. I'm going to call it a night. I bid you all good evening. This is the Forgotten Prime, Super Otaku, Jack of many trades, bidding you all a good evening, night, day, whatever time it is for you. I hope that my theory will help some of you to understand that the three different companies, well, not three, yeah, well, technically three, are what consist of Star Trek. Three timelines, completely different. And they're not tied in. They're roughly categorized, but they aren't tied. They're not canonical. Keep that in mind. That way you don't go insane from the amount of inconsistencies throughout both the new franchise films and the TV series. Because this does not fit in canonical with this. It don't in any shape or form. And it can't. There is no way. Period. Goodbye.